Right now we're looking at the Linden PropPress 360. It's capable of 6,000 pounds of pressure. What we use this machine for is to correct bent propellers. The great thing about this is it's revolutionary in propeller repair. We don't use heat like everyone else. In the industry, that's kind of been the norm, is to heat your propeller baits, because this is some really thick bronze, brass nitrile, and bending them with a hammer is just accurately is almost impossible unless you use heat to make them softer, especially if they're really bent. And but doing that, you remove the temper from the blades. You've made the blade weaker, and that strength is never going to come back. We bend them back the same way your boat bent them, cold. And so there's, the blade is actually the same as it was before it got bent, the same strength. Also, when you're using a hammer to beat the propeller to bend it, you're leaving big indentations. The only way to get rid of those indentations is by grinding. And when you grind, you thin. So you would be thinning this blade too. So you've not only made it weaker, you've thinned it and made it weaker once again. This machine leaves basically scuff marks that we could take out with a small piece of sandpaper or Brillo pad. So we've not thinned the prop, we've not heated the blade. To begin this, basically you load the type of propeller, pitch, diameter, serial number, owner, everything is kept on a database in the new TrueProp software. It's connected to the digital data scanner. The great thing about this, and what's different also, is we don't move the prop from the repair table. It's always here. It stays here until it's done. The metering system comes to the prop. So we're not taking it off, putting it back on, taking it off, putting it back on. There's room for error there, too much room for change. This, everything remains constant, so it's more accurate. Another thing is since that all of this data is kept saved for this prop, if this prop ever becomes damaged, unrepairable, we can look it up and we can repeat the process on a new prop. Say we've modified your other prop to a certain degree, and we can't get that particular prop. We can, according to the data here, we can recreate that prop, and every single repair is repeatable. And we can do this to an S class, which is superior, which results in around 15% better fuel economy. And over time, if you think about it, you save 15% every 1,000 gallons you fill up. Eventually you make that money back that you've gotten for the repair and or just the modification. We have customers that send the prop in just for the modification before it's even damaged, because they want that fuel savings, because they take long trips around the loop and down the ocean and stuff like that. And once you've gotten your money back, then it starts paying you back. So really, this is the only repair or modification that pays you back and keeps paying you over time. And you don't get that very many other places. Anyway, so once you get the prop set up, everything's recorded in, we can check the propeller. Most of your propellers, when they come out, are class 3. We will, when we repair your prop, if not requested otherwise, we will repair it to a class 2, which is one step better than new. So your propellers will always leave our shop better than new. If you want that 15% better fuel economy in your boat, we can go to a class 1 or S class. And that's at request, and of course it takes more time, so it is an additional charge, but it is well worth it. your boat will run smoother and farther. Less wear and tear in your drivetrain. A lot of your boat manufacturers are even requiring it, at least for your first set of props, to maintain the warranty. This machine here is one of 13 in the world. We brought this technology to Lake of the Ozarks, and you might have come close somewhere, but you can't get any better anywhere else. And that makes me happy. One thing about the TrueProp software, it's the latest software developed by TrueProp, HydroComp. It's used by the U.S. Navy. And a lot of other departments of the U.S. government. It can't be manipulated to tell you any different or tell you what you want to hear. It tells you what it sees. So you can't lie to it, and it won't lie to you. When you're done with your scan, instead of taking the propeller off of the unit, the scanner comes off and goes safely out of reach. And then I would read the scan. It's going to tell me where this propeller is. Let's see, we'll say check it. I'm only doing a class 2 on this one, which scans on 3 radii. If I were to go to a class 1 or an S class, it's going to do 8. This propeller is a 22 by 22. You can see each blade is a little bit off. 21.5, 21.2, 21.5, 21.7. So they're really close. Spacing between the blades, if it's a 4 blade, there would be 90 degrees between each blade. You can see that's got 90, 90.4, 89.6, and 90. Doesn't get much closer than that. Compare every blade to every other blade. It's another thing about this system. Instead of just telling you what one blade is, it actually takes an average of all the blades. So everybody's working together in the end. Okay, we want this to be a 22 by 22. It's telling me where my problems are and what would be causing the shake in this when this blade's running down the lake. These areas are out. It meets a class 3. So straight from a propeller manufacturer in the box, this is what you'd get. And we will turn it into a class 2. The customer hasn't requested anything except get rid of the shake and just make it better than it was. So we're going to make it a class 2 and return it to him. And it'll perform better. He'll get about 5% better fuel economy just by going from a 3 to a 2. We can actually see the pitch in a class 3, or these are class 2 boxes. If it was a class 3, those boxes would get bigger. Those boxes are only really like the size of a hair. So we check a class 3, the boxes get bigger. So it's permissible. That's each blade, how far each blade is apart. This one's pretty low on pitch, that's the highest on pitch. Go back to a class 2, it fails. Shows me in my local blade which blade I got, 1, 2, or 3. Let's get bigger. The black line is where the blade should be. The green line is where the blade is. We have to make that green line lay on top of that black line, to basically, to put it simple. That's a little better view of that. Our blade outline. That's how each blade tracks in space. As you can see, they're not following each other 100% right here. And that is okay for class 3, but not for class 2. This is every single blade laid in line. If they took every single blade and laid them on top of one another, just cut them off and lay them on top of each other. That's how they're laying. You can see that they're in a class 3, which is fine. If we were to go to S class or class 2, these goalposts would get smaller, smaller and smaller, and make you fit them in. And that's pretty basic how that works. So, and then after that, I can print a report. It tells me that a lot of the blades are actually where they're supposed to be in S class. These are the parts that are out. They're in a class 3. I can get a 5-page report on this. It says a lot of things that no one understands. So the 2-page report is what the person's going to get, which is that. And what it will show is everything laying in a box, when actually it should look like that. And it will tell you pass or fail. And it will not, it's like a mean teacher. It will not give you any leeway, and it will not pass you for any other reason than you did the work. If we wanted to bend these blades, which I'm not going to do right now because we're just making a movie, I can lock this down. If I wanted to, if I really had to, I could beat this thing out here with a sledgehammer and it would not affect this machinery whatsoever. Cannot move it. The other lock locks the arms in place. If I want to, say, change the pitch on this, I would pull this in, put one ram under here to push this up, put this ram here to push that down, and I can actually twist that whole blade. We just did a set that were, we did about 2.5 pitch on that thing without even breaking a sweat. This thing will apply up to 6,000 pounds of pressure and accurately. I could do up to 7 blades overlapping. We have overlap bars that will reach in and under and do the bending where a hammer could never go. And once again, all without heat. You get a better prop back than you brought in. Even if you bring it brand new, I can give you a better prop back. And nowhere else can you get this done, especially at Lake of the Ozarks.